This is a very famous slide that Andy Grove at Intel had developed. The only takeaway here is that obviously the best place to be is to be early into a really big market and just take it by storm, being the Google. But if the market's really big and you come a little bit later, it's still a good place to be. You can still be an Android platform behind an iPhone platform and still do very, very well. What you don't want to do is be late to a really small market where it's already been exploded and you're kind of on the tail end. So what you need to do when you're doing your market assessments and your research is not only understand the size of the markets, but what the trends in the market are. So it may be a really big market, but if it's going this way and trending down, that's a pretty interesting sign for you. So just be real sensitive to that. Conversely, you may have a kind of a small market and you may look at it going, that's not really that big, but it seems to be trending up. An example can be, the whole area of keyword targeted ad search. Obviously, when Google was first pioneering that, it was growing, everyone kept saying it's not that big, it's not that big, it's not that big. But you could continually see the trending. And now Facebook, although they don't disclose it, I have some colleagues within Facebook, and they told us that if we actually knew how much money they were making on advertising, you'd be blown away. And I have a feeling that it's approaching and not surpassing what Google's doing. So this is some very, very serious market.
Greg, do you want to give the example about what Intel did in the 80s compared to Motorola in terms of the inferior product that took the market share?
I'm not sure I know.
In the 80s, Intel was up against Motorola in terms of gaining market share. What's that?
The 8085 versus
the 86 platform.
okay.
But they had an inferior product compared to the Motorola product.
68,000.
But they managed to package it as a whole product because of the support they provided the engineers. It's not just a chip. So that all the support they provided, the engineers managed to have them make the market, reach the market share they wanted and gain customers from Motorola. I think even
You can say, well, wow, can we really do that? Are we going to get to that kind of thing? Our current, let's say, resources. This is.
That's a good comment. What we see as the opportunity here is that there's no reason that Palestine can't be Herzliya. No reason it can't be. It's about people and scale. So as an example, we felt the same way in San Diego 25 years ago. People saying we were smaller than you guys are here, a lot smaller, and we had defense and tourism and real estate. Those were the only industries, and we had unemployment of 15%. And it was a way that we actually turned the economy around, doing exactly what you're doing today, creating mechanisms for entrepreneurs, supporting them. Now we're the largest wireless communications cluster in the world. We're the second largest biotechnology cluster in the world. We're one of the top digital media clusters in the world, and software clusters. And that was not by accident. We did exactly what you said. Because we'd sit there and we go, God, can we really do this? People are using all these big numbers, and we don't have any venture capital here, and we don't have entrepreneurs here, we don't have sales and marketing people here. And these guys keep turning out Apple and Google and all that, and we haven't done that. But people said, we don't necessarily have, for us it wasn't about churning out the next Google. We were very happy to turn out the next company we sold to Google, or the next company we sold to Intel. And we have a multi-billion-dollar economy based on that. So one of the comments that I heard in almost every session that we've done around 2 days is that you have to think big. We just have to begin getting the entrepreneurs here to think bigger. Think of children. It's all we can learn from children. When children first, come into contact with one another, the first thing they said is, "Do you want to play?" And they're saying, "Okay, you be the astronaut, or you be this," and they have no boundaries in terms of how they think. For some reason, exactly. And when we become adults, though, we begin feeling the pressures of society and culture that begin limiting our thinking in terms of what we can be In the valley, you don't see that, because part of it is self-selection. Part of it is people who left places with big ideas, who came to places where big ideas were welcome. And so they felt comfortable with that. We've got to make that happen here.
Greg, about the success you mentioned, was it driven, actually driven by private, not like in our case here where the government.
It was driven by the private sector because in the United States we don't have a history of public sector involvement because they tend to slow things down. It was also driven out of crisis. So there was a big crisis, actually a couple of crises. One is that the end of the Cold War, and government wasn't spending a lot of money on defense anymore because there was no one to fight. And so a lot of those jobs were vacant, so we were reskilling those people. The other thing is that the change is that San Diego had lost 2 large contracts to the city of Austin, Texas. And they were both microelectronic consortiums, Semitech and MCC. And they were lost. And what those were kind of public-private partnerships. And what people from the government said is, it's obvious that your private sector and your public sector never talk to one another. It's very apparent. And so that's when some community leaders got together and said, we've got to find a way of actually talking to one another, otherwise we're going to be left behind. And so it was very public-private sector driven. And it was set up from the very beginning as a solution of equals, where everyone would have input to it. No one would own it, and it wasn't driven by any one group. It was an inclusive. And it turned out to be the right strategy early on. Other questions? It's a tremendous lots to tackle like an hour. I mean, it's tough to tackle all this.
In the US, just follow up on this question. In the US, a lot of the core research comes out of NSF grants, right? The core research in National Science Foundation. A lot of the high-end research that goes into universities comes from such grants. And not a lot, some of those see the light of day in terms of becoming private ventures. With the lack of that here, I mean, to reach the Herzliya level, there were a lot of factors that happened, which was basically in their case, it was military research. So I definitely agree about the partnership, but here, finding that linkage and finding that money, I mean, they did it out of necessity, and the US did it out of necessity for a different reason. And each country is a different thing, but there was this public, academic, private triangle that.
So here's the good news. In fact, it's really good news for Palatine. The good news is that a lot of the high-impact companies are being created in areas of what we call knowledge and creativity, as opposed to technology. And so, yes, the U.S. government basically boosted the entire technology industry from everything in our talk today. We talked about early vacuum tubes to eventually microprocessors, defense-related technologies. The Silicon Valley was all created off of defense technologies, just as the Route 120 corridor was. That's where the microcomputing industries were created. But the kinds of companies were created, Twitter, Google, none of these were created out of government grants.
Right.
Exactly. And so what we really see the opportunity is a lot of the new technologies and the big companies that are going to be created are what we call creative companies. They're going to be taking things that already exist and just combining them in new ways and applying them to new markets that already exist and just thinking differently. I've heard so many ideas over the last few days that are actually exciting. They're not necessarily new ideas, they're just new directions into it. So rather than approaching the problem this way, they're kind of going in it this way, going, oh, that's kind of interesting. And because we're a global economy now, and your customers can be anywhere, I think the opportunity is huge. You no longer have to sell just to the person next door or to the person down the street or even in the country next to you. You have the ability to sell to anyone in the world. And I think that that's your opportunity here. And the question is how can Medaya play a role in helping give you access to the market channels, the channels of expertise, the market calibration, information to calibrate it, and to help give you the knowledge of entrepreneurs. What universities will play a big role in, their biggest role, in my opinion now, is the talent development. Is how you develop the engineers and scientists who then go to work for your company. So you're an entrepreneur and you start a great company, you're going to need talent. And if you can't get your talent here, you're going to have to offshore it, or you're going to have to build it elsewhere. So if you can build the talent here. The other component, which we won't get into now, but is very important, is what we call workforce development. That after you have all your employees working in your company, you constantly have to make sure that their skills are refreshed, that they're getting the latest and greatest knowledge, whether it's in new codes or new like legal frameworks. They have to know this stuff.
You know what I'd like to see with that is, you know, we're sitting here and some of us know each other and some don't. I think it's very important to go to the global market. You know, here we think, you said you have to think big, and I want to think big. And in order to be big also, we have to pool resources. I mean, you know, I'm a one-man show, and this guy he's got just one partner or whatever. I don't know. We're all very small guys, and I think it's important to me is that to see where the strengths are and where are the different talents we look at. To bring us together, really. I mean, we are not able to bring ourselves together. I have to be quite honest about that. And I think when we go out to the outside world, we have to go out as one, you know, and one big team with multiple talents and multiple that will I think increase the interest in us, you know.
So you know what's interesting is I think, Leif, one of the things that a program that we just started, actually in San Diego for this very reason, was what we call the near sourcing project, where we put together a database of all the expertise that already exists in the community, because we don't want people to take their ideas and outsource, but a lot of times they do it because they don't know that the expertise already exists in a community. So if you can create some way of almost creating a database or a kind of...
I think we will be doing such a project with
But
Google.
there is something that if some people don't know about here, there's Peaks. Peaks is a
Peaks is fantastic.
grassroots community-based organization for the technology entrepreneurs. Okay, excellent.
This is
We need to expand it. Currently,
and great, you know, T2Vs and all that. Let's work together. Let's learn to work together and
You know,
utilize our
Josh, I
strengths
think-
instead of
Yeah.
really competing. Because
It would be nice also to have peak members come and attend such workshops here at Bickley and not just.
why don't you
yeah.
post for that? So to access Peaks, it's on Facebook. There's two things. There's a page and a group. There's about 380 members. If you need Peaks, P-E-E-K-S. So add yourself there. For example, the workshop, you can easily advertise on there. Just put a post on there. Everybody's welcome in this space, technology, entrepreneurship, to leverage Peaks and its network.
George, you need to add it onto ITSig. I mean, this is the best way to reach.
Okay, to tell you an example on ITSig, in terms of the event we had yesterday for Greg, it was advertised on ITSig. In the bottom of it, it had all the contact information
Yeah.
of Peaks. Twitter, the hashtags, the Facebook groups and everything. But if you want, we can also consider like sending a more informative thing of how to, like talking about Peaks itself, not the event.
Yes.
But I want everybody to be aware of it so we can leverage each other.
Absolutely.
Great.